Welcome to another episode of Financial Minds Meet the Experts. I'm Jamie Agostino. We're highlighting the departments that help accelerate credit union success every day. Today, I'm sitting down with our accounting team to talk about the behind-the-scenes role that they play in keeping our organization financially strong and stable. The work not only helps position us to better serve credit unions, but they also ensure the accurate posting and management of transactions on behalf of the credit unions we serve. Please join me in welcoming Mark, Deanna, and Margie. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Could you each take a moment, just introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself in your role at the corporate?
Ladies first.
I can start. I'm Margie Jones, the controller. I've been with the corporate for about 28 years, and aside from accounting, I've worked in the check processing area and member services.
All right.
I'm Deanna Swift. I'm the VP of accounting, and I've been with the corporate for 9.5 years. I started in the ALM department, but for the past 3 years, I believe 3 years or so, I've been in accounting.
Okay.
And I'm Mark Brown. I'm the Senior Vice President and CFO. I've been in this role since 1997, whenever I was hired at First Carolina Corporate, which then changed our name into be Vizo back in 2016.
All right. So I know accounting team is a little bigger than just the three of you. So can you tell me just a bit about who else is in the team and what their role is?
Sure. So we break the accounting team out a little bit to the operations team and the finance team. So I'll speak for the operations team. It consists of Krista Smith, which is our senior general accountant. And then we have Katie Wade, which is the accounting operations specialist, and she oversees the accounting specialist too, which is Deb Fogelman and Diane Dawson. The operations team really just handles like file postings for settlement dollars. We reconcile our Fed account, and we take care of accounts payable, fixed assets, the corporate billing. And in addition to that, we manage the corporate credit card program.
And then our finance team is made up of three. We have Michelle Rooks, who's our supervisor of financial accounting, and she oversees two financial accountants. We have Brittany Avery and Ashley Rothrock. Together, they handle investment settlement monitoring, investment accounting, and they compile the monthly call report and do other various reporting for management and the board. They also compile daily cash balance information for our Treasury Department and data to help our investment officer monitor investment policy compliance.
All right. Well, thank you. Accounting is often seen as behind the scenes. So what's the simplest way to explain your team's impact on the corporate?
Well, first off, I say we like being behind the scenes. That means that we're on point and we're doing our job correctly. In some ways, we're the scorekeepers, record keepers for the credit union. We produce reliable financials. We perform timely postings. We're not member facing, but we provide back office support to all the other departments as they serve our members. We ensure members get their settlement dollars posted correctly on their accounts. We make sure the investments are handled correctly and our reporting accurate, all behind the scenes.
Okay. So how do you ensure then accuracy and timeliness when so many decisions depend on your data there in accounting?
Well, in accounting, our work is very cyclical. We have daily cycles, monthly cycles, and an annual cycle. And to keep us on track, we have a ton of procedures and checklists to make sure nothing is left out and everything is documented. And I think we do a pretty good job with this because our recent new hires, we've had two different people both say how great our procedures are, and it allowed them to integrate into our team very smoothly. Things are easy to follow. So we really pride ourselves on that.
Okay. Yeah, I can only imagine what those procedures look like, Deanna.
Yeah.
So how does your work support transparency and trust across the credit unions Vizo Financial serves?
Well, we weren't done with that last question, though, Jamie. We had some other
Oh,
things
I'm
we need to tell
sorry.
you.
I am so sorry, Mark. Well, what else would you like to add to that last question?
I'll just add to that, and I think Mark may have something to add as well, that for Us also, we do a lot of like cross team support. So for most of the processes, there's like two individuals involved, and that really just helps us ensure that we're double checking each other to minimize any errors or mistakes that may take place. That is a big part of what we do every day outside of following the procedure as well.
Okay.
And Jamie, one thing too, with Vizo being a strength-based organization,
Yeah.
you can see our accounting team, our leading domain is executing. We're always just getting it done. One of the higher areas of our strengths, we have a lot of responsibility, consistencies, achievers, belief. They all jump out as big prevalent domains in the accounting area. But so we have the right folks tracking the right reports and getting the results in there. And second, the executing domain, we have a lot of relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
So many folks have harmony, relate, or adaptability. So that lets us come alongside all the other departments that come to the accounting for help, because while we don't, many times we're asked to help figure it out. What happened here? So another department may come and say, can you help us track this Y or figure out why this ACH didn't post correctly? So our folks are jumping in and have great relationships across the credit union. I love the fact that when we get pulled into a project, we can tell them, well, wait a minute, if you're going to, well, Margie can tell them, if you're going to do this particular transaction or update or change, the following thing flows through accounting, and here's how we have to adjust it. So we have a good relationship across the corporate that lets us deliver strong support for the whole corporate family.
Yeah, and obviously can vouch for that. I think I reach out to Margie quite often for different things because you guys help, a lot of the teams with budgeting and things like that. That's usually when I need assistance. So then how does the work support the transparency and trust across the credit unions Vizo Financial serves?
Well, I think transparency, one thing, Jamie, is after the financial crisis of 2008, which personally I'm getting tired of everyone talking about that, because probably half our staff were still in high school in 2008, so they have no clue what it is. But I was at First Carolina then, and now Vizo, and since 2008, we started creating a monthly snapshot of our financial condition and our position in the market. We shared everything.
Yeah.
We told members about unrealized losses, our liquidity, investment compositions, you name it, we shared it. And we make everything available, so there's no question where Vizo stands, and we continue that reporting today. I believe several credit unions also, I think one of the CAMs hosts a quarterly meeting with some leaders in the Virginia area,
Yes.
and they meet with some of the corporate staff members to talk about markets and conditions and things going on, and sharing what we do in our investment portfolio. So we're always sharing with the credit unions what we have. And we're also always available for members to clarify or expand on any items that they have a question about. As for trust, following that glorious '08 crisis, leadership made a commitment that we were going to do all we could to make members whole for any capital they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to say that we paid every recapitalizing member back across our entire footprint, every dollar they lost. And that occurred within the last 5 years. I don't know the exact calendar year. It happened over a 2-year window. And I believe our transparent reporting and our commitment to restore that lost capital speaks volumes that our members can trust Vizo to be fair, honest, and transparent in the relationships we have with them. So
Yeah,
that's a short answer for you.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to talk
absolutely.
about 2008 crisis anymore in this session. I'll do my best to avoid that.
All right. Well, but all of those things that you've done, from that standpoint, not only help, with our existing members, but it also has built trust with credit unions that don't use us. So I see that every day from the sales and marketing side of the house.
Good to hear.
So well, what are the biggest differences between accounting for a corporate credit union and a natural person credit union?
I could take that one again.
Okay.
One big difference, Jamie, is the natural person credit unions primarily rely on their loan portfolio for their income.
Yeah.
And Vizo Financial, we're $6 billion. We have maybe $200 to $300 million in loans. So the majority of our balance sheet is investments.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't rely on loans for income at all. We manage our credit unions members' excess cash is one of our roles, and then that provides them a fair return, and then we process all their settlement activities for them. Now, the natural person does, settle share draft clearings and ATMs,
Right.
but we do with a whole lot more zeros on the end. And what's interesting is, corporate 6 billion in assets, we have 150 employees. I bet if that was a natural person at 6 billion, they could have close to 1,000. I don't know exactly the number. So, we just have more zeros on our transactions. We do maintain a large balance, several billion at the Federal Reserve Bank to act for our liquidity source to clear all those transactions for our member. But a natural person credit union tries to minimize their overnight money and loan it out. So, and then our investment department, we have an investment team that manages our entire portfolio that's not at the Fed. And several of our accounting team actually support that activity through tracking their performances, managing their purchases and sales, and monthly principal and interest payments. So our accounting has bigger numbers and a different portfolio that we actually manage versus the natural person credit union. And we don't, while we do offer correspondent services for different types of products and services we offer, the majority of what we do is that investment portfolio.
Okay, yeah. And that comes from being a cooperative and pulling all the funds together from that
Yes.
perspective. So I'm sure regulation comes into play. So how do regulatory requirements shape the way your team operates?
I'm going to talk one more time, then I'm going to shut up so these girls can talk. I apologize, ladies. As a corporate credit union, we have our own specific set of regulations. It's called Reg 704. And the NCUA was kind enough to write it just for the corporates. And based on a situation that occurred 16 years ago, which I won't name again, NCUA changed those regulations drastically. And so we still follow those regulations plus the remaining NCUA portfolio of regulations that may or may not apply to us. So we operate our investment portfolio differently, our capital requirements, and we file call reports monthly, where natural person credit unions only file them quarterly. That's one of the areas in that area. And I think Deanna may have something she'd like to share too.
Yeah, I was just going to add, our day-to-day is driven by any law and regulation change or, how it exists. That's what we're reporting every day in compliance with those laws and regs. And there are changes, frequently enough. So a couple of changes recently in generally accepted accounting principles. So that's GAAP. And what we follow, there's been changes to how we account for leases. Now we have to put them all on our balance sheet. That was within the past few years. And also, if you work for a natural person credit union, I'm sure you're familiar with CECL, or current expected credit losses, and that's been a drastic change to how we account for unrealized losses. So that's something now that we're looking at. Currently, we look at it at a quarterly basis, but certainly depending on your holdings and business decisions that you make, the calculation may be more complex, so you may have to look at it more frequently. So those are two things that impact us a lot day to day currently.
Okay. All right. Well, then my next question, as Mark said, is for Deanna and Margie. How do you collaborate with other departments, like treasuries, investments, and there's so many others?
I think for the operations team, we work very closely with the payments area, being EFT, checks, member services. And a big part of that is just basically because we handle the postings for the settlement dollars and they run through our Fed account. So we're typically the point of contact for any Fed statement related research. And then in addition, like anytime there is a change to payments or other areas in the corporate, most times that's going to flow through accounting. So we're part of those corporate wide projects. So I feel like the teams work very closely together for research and basically to support the membership to identify the entries posting to their accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, and the finance team supports the treasury and investments a lot. So like I said before, we're compiling daily cash balance information from our variety of accounts, mostly the Fed, but others as well. And we do some analytics on that and provide that to our treasury chief, which helps him evaluate the need for secondary liquidity sources and drive borrowing decisions. And then we're also compiling data on our investment income and yields and balances, and we provide that to the investment department. And that information, together with our liquidity information, allows our investment officer to make purchasing decisions.
Okay. So I think Mark has something there.
I would say, Jamie, you sit on our internal ALCO committee.
Yes.
So you see the vast departments that are
Yeah.
involved in that discussion and decision making, and most of the documentation or data they're reviewing is produced out of the financial accounting department. So while we have our department, 6 to 8 different departments are on that call, all reviewing the data we put together.
Yeah. Yeah. So then what's one misconception people have about accounting that you'd like to clear up? Here's your opportunity.
I think the big misconception is we don't usually like own products or processes. We receive the end product, and most times that is just to post it or to reconcile it. But I will say with that, we're always happy to support, and help where we can with the different products. But I think most times people believe that, just because we post that final settlement file, we own that product, and we don't. Those reside within other areas of the corporate.
Okay.
And you can have a personality and be in accounting too. A lot of folks, people think people in accounting are just kind of dry, whatever, but I think we have a pretty good team together, don't you, ladies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may
Yeah.
have witnessed some of your shenanigans, Mr. Brown.
Right. Well, the rest of them come in there as well, so don't just blame it all on me.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. Any final comments you'd like to share with our audience on how your role helps credit unions succeed?
Well, I'd say if operations aren't running smooth, then accounting's not running smooth. And member settlements dollars don't post. And we keep the lifeblood of the credit union flowing.
Yeah.
We'd like to keep a low profile behind the scenes, remain, knowing our job is to keep everything processing as expected and addressing jumping in when problems surface. So end users, members don't even know what happened. We like that. Lots of times there may be a hiccup and we not necessarily, marketing hasn't notified the members of a hiccup because we're working behind the scenes to mitigate the issue before they have to be notified. So lots of times, and that usually falls to Margie's group to get that done. And anytime a credit union struggles with a transaction or a settlement issue, they usually call Vizo. And if they call member service support, they'll typically contact accounting and say, "Can you help us figure this out?" So while we're pretty good at sleuthing, I think our team can figure things out really well. And then we believe that our team contributes to Vizo in that way so we can accelerate the success of our credit unions. I don't know if the ladies have anything else. I jumped in there. I apologize.
That was perfect, Mark.
It was. You summed it up.
All right.
So come work for accounting. If you ever see an opening, we have a great group there. We'd welcome all to come. I need a guy. I'm the only guy in the accounting department. So I have to suffer through that. But that's all right. They're a great group of ladies, and I appreciate everything they do for us.
Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. And I'd also like to take a moment and thank Vizo Financial's Education for sponsoring today's episode. Vizo Financial is committed to the core value, continue to learn. Vizo Financial wants to help all credit union staff nationwide with their development and education goals. Vizo Financial hosts several webinars, workshops, conferences, and other events throughout the year to bring credit unions the training and education they deserve. Look for more details on all of the upcoming education at www.vfccu.org. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Financial Minds. A big thank you to our accounting team for sharing how their behind-the-scenes work helps create stability, accuracy, and growth for both Vizo Financial and the credit unions they serve. Be sure to join us next time as we continue showcasing the teams that help drive credit union success. As always, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and make it a great day.